All right, so our final question in this practice. We have three different tables, and we are to match each table with its correct growth pattern. One table should be linear, one is exponential, and the other one is showing quadratic growth. So again, in order for you to be able to decipher which is which, you have to examine the output values for each table to see how they are changing. No, let's do that. So when we look at table 1, we move from 1 to 4, from 4 to 16, 16 to 64, then 256. We're seeing that each of those output values are being multiplied by 4 each time. And when it's multiplication, we know that there's a constant growth factor, so that is going to represent exponential growth. For table 2, what we're noticing is that they're changing differently. And so what we need to do in each of these cases is to determine, like, well, is the change in the rate of change constant? So we are going to do this. So what we're noticing is that the difference between 64 and 192 is going to be negative 128. This is also when you difference between 192 and 320, and you can do this by subtraction, is negative 128. The difference between 320 and 448 is also negative 128. So we're noticing that even though the rate of change is not constant, the change in the rate of change is constant, and that's an indication that this is going to represent quadratic growth. And then for the last one, we can clearly see that, all the values are decreasing by the same amount, which is they're subtracting 1. And so when it's decreasing by a constant rate, we know that this represents a linear function. So table 1 represents exponential growth. Table 2 represents quadratic growth because it's decreasing consecutive by a negative 128. And table 3 shows linear growth because there's a constant change of minus 100.